really good comment on how everything is so self-reflexive and mediated, and like your relationship existed through media, and then at the end how you show how you made the film. Like, I didn't expect that part at all. So, and I think that's what a lot of people these days do. Like, everyone's constantly videotaping and taking photos of their own lives and putting it out on the web. So it's kind of...
It's weird. What's wrong with us? We're all so narcissistic.
That's right.
We're also obsessed with ourselves. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's a little weird though, right? I don't know. Anyways, any questions about kind of the...
How much of the film had you started making before you guys met? I mean, like, was this something that you developed together, or was this a concept that you were working on and then it sort of evolved into Four-Eyed Monster after you got into a relationship?
Well, we had created some of this footage sincerely. Like, you know, some of the videos that we were sending to each other were kind of recreated based on some new ideas, and other things were like, you know, like, why do I still smell you? That whole dialogue, that was a real video that I had sent Susan. And the original concept for the film, and it's kind of a similar concept to future projects that we want to do, is basically take some of the stuff that you're collecting, like you're saying, people are collecting all these photos and videos and messages from their lives. The idea was to take that and take the weird experiences that we thought we had and use them to portray a story. And then go through and say, okay, well, what else do we need to construct? But let's construct it from our internal, like, perspective, and not through, like, oh, you're watching it, like, you know, from above. Sort of so many movies are about, like, how God would be looking at it, right? Just sort of overview of bird's eye view of the situation. Then the character walks over here, then this other character, and whatever. Like, we're trying to be like, well, we just have our own experiences and our own perceptions, and then they contradict, because there's my perception and there's Susan's perception. We just wanted to show those kind of perceptions. So yeah, it evolved pretty much as portrayed, which is just like, you know, let's keep the creativity and the creating of a reality going, which is kind of still going in a way, because it's like, you know, okay, let's create this reality in which, off the top of our heads, I don't know, maybe we write notes to each other, or let's create a reality in which, you know, okay, the only way we're going to talk is through these videos, yeah, because you're up in this art studio, yeah, that's a really cool, like, reality. Like, we're all just creating these random realities, and so, I don't know, and we're still doing that. It's pretty ridiculous at this point. Like, oh, I got an idea, we're going to make this movie, okay, and then yeah, the movie's going to, like, play all over the world, and then we're going to, like, you know, make more stuff on the internet, and, like, put those out there, and it's going to be this whole, like, media dialogue, yeah, that's what we're doing, you know. So it's been, it's just been, like, one continuous, like, inventing of reality after the next, but then also hardships of realizing, wait a minute, this is just a bubble, this is just a fantasy, basically, like, this is not reality, it's just something that we built, and the rest of reality is not cooperating with it, you know? And that's happened in Susan and I's relationship, where it's like, it's all about, like, you and I, and, like, we're on this journey, and we're making crazy shit happen, and whatever, but then realizing, you know what, like, actually, our worldview of romance is kind of a little bit fed to us by, I don't know who, Disney or somebody. Like, I don't know if it is indefinitely, like, all about you and I forever, you know, and it's sort of like that kind of fact that, you know, human beings might not necessarily be designed to indefinitely relate to only one person in that way, catches up. You know, the financial realities catch up with, like, oh yeah, all of this requires just, you know, spending your life, or living your life off of credit cards to build this, you know, reality. So, but it's weird, there's a weird balancing system in which it all kind of auto-corrects itself, and the financial stuff is more or less worked out, and then you know, we're working on new material right now about this sort of exclusive romance kind of concept, and you know, can people be in relation with other people without investing every single thing into that person? This person is my lover, they're my collaborator, they're my roommate, they're my family, basically. But you know, what's a more sustainable way to figure out how you're relating with the people that matter a lot to you, and will always matter a lot to you, but might not carry all of those roles all the time. So that's kind of, we're editing some new episodes that are like about those concepts. Any other questions about anything? Yeah.
I was just wondering if you're also constructing a sense of an illusion, sort of illusory kind of performance with your relationship. Kind of.
Wait, what's the question? Are we constructing what?
Like a sense of an illusion.
Yeah.
Under the guise and the sort of a pretense of the camera lens there.
Right.
If whether your relationship can be seen as a kind of a performance art, just a performance.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
It is still that.
I don't know. And, I mean, I sincerely am not sure. But that would be more of, I think, for people to decide rather than for us to really know, because how do you really know totally what you're doing? I mean, what do you guys think about that question? Do you guys understand the question? If I understand right, you're saying, are we creating an illusion because we know that there is an audience? And is it like, are we living our lives, I guess what you're saying is, are we living our lives knowing that it would make a better story if this happens?
And also does it expose your relationship as, I don't want to make this offensive.
Make it offensive.
Expose it as sort of a fraud. Like, and that it's a sort of just a performance for this perpetual audience that's always there.
That'd be brilliant. I would love that. I mean, I definitely think that it's true, that there's a lot of truth to that. But no more than any other relationship. That you put on a show for your parents, or you put on a show for all of your friends, are like, we have so much invested in you two. You are the cutest couple ever. Really, you must know this. And they're like, yeah, we are. And then they leave and they get in the car. Oh, fuck you, you know, and they're just like totally nasty. So, sure. You know, it's definitely an illusion. Definitely.
So in your mind, how close does all that come to the reality of your relationship?
Well, the thing is
supposed to
okay, it's an illusion, but we were trying to make it be as truthful as possible. So yes, it's a presentation, but we're trying to make it show the nasty comment, show us cussing at each other, you know? And that's kind of like, but can we accurately do it? No. There's way nastier things that happen that we can't show because we weren't filming or whatever reason, or you'd have to just spend, you know, like about 4 years in the room with Susan and I to really see some even crazier shit go down. But I mean, I believe that that's just how two people get, any two people, you know, when you spend that much. I mean, it's kind of an unromantic concept, but I kind of think that that's the flaw, the fatal flaw in our whole view of romance. Is like, eventually somebody gets the crazy, and then they have the crazy, and they give it to the other person. And now it's just a big meltdown. You know, it's just perpetuating itself. And then you try and get back in the same room together, and you're like, do you have the crazy anymore? No, I don't think I have it anymore. And then it like creeps up back on you because you've created an environment in which you can have it with this other person, and you've had it with your other family members that you know, these families you've created in the past, and it's been dysfunctional, and you're just mimicking a similar kind of just unhealthy interaction, and it's all perpetuated with this idea that, oh, our relationship is everything, our reality, our little bubble that we created has to survive, because if it doesn't, everything that we've done is useless. It's all just been a complete waste. But that kind of worldview is something that I think is portrayed in this movie, but something that I feel like I'm trying to move past, and so is Susan from the conversations that we've had. Yeah.
I played the first 5 minutes of your film in my video class, and people said, this looks like a commercial for MySpace. So, like,
that's fine. I'm fine with that. How do you guys feel? Is this a commercial for MySpace?
No.
But what was the rest of your point, though?
Can I ask you a question?
Well, let me just make sure we.
just the point is that I think your film uses like sort of techniques used in advertising.
Oh, that's for sure.
But
I mean, do you guys agree with that? Do we have mixed voices at the beginning, and time lapses. I mean, yeah, surely we use commercial type techniques.
In a way, like, and you're using the MySpace format with the icons, but that's maybe those things have become so much of a part of our lives that they're making their way into art and stuff, like YouTube and MySpace.
Yeah, I think if you guys had started this film 2 years from now, it would be Facebook. You know?
Right.
It's just whatever was dominant when you made it.
Well, the funny thing is we did take some screen grabs from MySpace, but we didn't ever show MySpace URL. But it feels like MySpace because that's what we know for it to be.
Yeah.
And my hope is that future, platforms, whether it be Facebook or whatever, or some new thing that we all embrace a few years from now, we'll still look at that, not as MySpace. Maybe it'll be like a little reminiscent. That kind of feels like back in the day when we were all on that stupid site, MySpace. But hopefully it'll actually look like, right. So we're all kind of like in this cyberspace where we connect with other people. It has nothing to do with any company owned by Rupert Murdoch. It just has to do with the cultural phenomena of this thing happening that pretty much everybody here must be a part of in some way. I mean, who here is not on either MySpace or Facebook? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And you don't even know what it is. Okay, cool. Well, what was your comment?
I just found out.
What were you going to say?
MySpace.
That was the question. What's MySpace?
It was MySpace. I'm a grease and fingers guy.
Okay.
You're grease under my fingers.
Okay, who can explain what MySpace is?
She just told me.
And what did she say?
I said it was on the internet. I just gave it a short answer.
Yeah, there you go. It's on the internet. You'll figure it out.
Sorry.
No, that's a good.
Don't point the camera.
Let's raise the issue around who accesses MySpace, who accesses Facebook, but also who's reflected in your film. Can you talk about how audiences have received this? For example, like older white people or younger people of color.
So people who might have access to MySpace versus who might not have access to MySpace and Facebook and so on. How have they responded? Well, the reality is we actually made the film before the thing even existed. And we started showing it at festivals, and quite honestly, it was not perceived as well. That was January 2005 when we first started showing it at festivals. Since then, there's been, that year, 2005, there was this explosion on MySpace with music promoting itself there. And then at the end of 2005, they started promoting films, and we were one of the first films to have a profile there and everything. So that's been the best comparison. Before there was MySpace, yeah, the film was a slightly different edit. It's probably just tighter in general now. But also, culture kind of catching up to what was sort of just intuitive to Susan and I to begin with. It was kind of frowned upon at the time, like we were online dating. It was like, in reality, it wasn't really MySpace. It was like nerve.com and like Time Out New York. So like that was just sort of like, don't tell your friends that you're doing that. To like now like, oh yeah, that's old hat. We sit around, look at cute girls on the internet, see if you want to message them. But yeah, it's been totally different since there's been like this whole like online identity explosion. We showed the film in Brazil, and there they all use Orchid, and it was actually when was that? The summer of 2005, and MySpace was just starting to catch on in the U.S., but Orchid had caught on like long since, like 2 years earlier. So when you go to an internet cafe, every single computer was logged into Orchid, and they're doing like social networking stuff. So they actually got the film, even though there was a language barrier, they got it even better than some of the audiences at the same time were getting it. It's been kind of interesting. Any other thoughts or comments?
I was curious to know what did the film look like when you first made it? Because did you always have the part at the end where it showed you making the film, or when did you add in all the festival stuff that obviously must have been fairly recent in the history of it, so it seems like you're tweaking the ending as you go, or?
Well, first of all, what do people think of the end? Is it okay to end the movie like that? The haircut, but before the haircut wasn't there until just like 4 months ago we added that shot.
You mean with the collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, you don't typically end a movie on making the movie that. You know what I mean? It sort of folds in on
I
itself.
thought it was very satisfying. I was really moved and really attached, and it felt like a great ending. And
What do you? Okay, here's what I want to know. what does the end say about Susan and I's relationship?
That it's evolving. It's evolving, yeah. It's creative and you're putting energy into it.
I never bought the intimacy until you actually touched your waves after I heard that.
Yeah, the waves.
Until then. And I went, well,
The moment for me was the throwing the hand up. I was like, that's it. There's a real relief. It felt like what this guy was saying before, an illusion or a performance piece, until I saw you laugh, and you genuinely laugh, and say, okay, there's an actual human interaction there. And then it became a collaboration for me. You guys seem to be collaborating on making this film, and a partnership.
That's interesting.
I think it's really appropriate in terms of identity for this, like, your generation, like our generation, because people are themselves on social networking sites, but at the same time, you're still only showing people what you want them to see. So in one way, you're sort of a character of yourself online. So I think that being yourselves really in the end is very appropriate in terms of the dynamic.
What was the original question about the end?
Oh,
How did it change, or how did the film evolve?
Yeah, like when you first started sending it to festivals, how did it end? Because it didn't end the exact same way it did. You didn't have yourself putting on the...
Right, when we sent it to film festivals, obviously we didn't have anything about, like, we were talking to the film festival.
Yeah.
But then when we showed it at the festival, we did. And they were kind of tripped out about that. Like, wow, you've changed the movie since we saw it. And we're actually in it, kind of. Like, that was Slam Dance's voice on the phone there.
But you had the making of always, that was always...
Well, the thing is, it's like about halfway through, we never knew how we were going to end it. Because how do you end something that's your actual life? Like, what do you say at the end? You know, it's like, well, what is the end? You know, how could you decide how to end a story about your guys' relationships? Oh, that you're still in it. Oh, well, it ended. Well, I don't know. We're still in it. I don't know how to end it. You know, so actually, the movie kept changing really until our relationship reached a resolve to where we knew where we stood, and then we're like, okay, we can, you know, we need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The movie ends a little kind of uncertain, but you know, yeah, we just kept changing. Every film festival, we changed the edit. But it's hard to say exactly what we changed. I mean, it was just little editorial snippets and things, and stuff got added, you know, up until when we posted it on YouTube back in this past June, so just a few months ago. Yeah.
The episodes did you start the ideas of producing the episodes, the supportive episodes, as a strategy once you started thinking about distribution, or does the episodes reflect more of what you're describing as this kind of continuum of the whole project that you really never thought about as a finite feature?
Well, here's a question. Does anybody even know about what he's talking about, the episodes?
Yes.
So who here has seen, like, our online episodes? Okay. What we did is we made the movie, and then 9 months later we were sick of going to film festivals, and we didn't think they were getting us anywhere. And we were missing a lot of flights because, like, we just didn't want to go, so we'd be like, okay, let's go. We'd be like, oh shit, we showed up late, we missed the flight. Like, it just got really lame. So we wanted to stop going to film festivals, but we needed another way to kind of like keep the film alive and ultimately get it out there. So we turned to the internet and wanted to take all of this material, again, from our life log of just shooting things all the time. Like, when weird stuff happens, being like, you know what? I'm going to learn more about myself if I get a little bit of footage of this. And not actually creating an illusion, really. I mean, the video podcast addresses the illusion question a lot because it's not at all like, oh, let's go do this because, I mean, the movie is a construction. The episodes are really documentary. It's all just real footage and real, you know, oh, you might need the remote now, actually. So, yeah, so about 9 months after we started doing the film, we started editing these episodes, and they ended up just getting tons of views on the internet. And this was like at the end of 2005, and then over the next year, we just posted like episodes 1 through 8, and each one's like a cliffhanger, and people were kind of like dying for the next episode, and they would subscribe either on iTunes or, you know, through RSS or just different ways that would bring the episodes to them. And that was really cool, you know, from a filmmaking perspective, to almost think of filmmaking as like an email blast. You know, you've got a new thing, you take all your people, your group of whatever, and you're just like, boom, email blast that out to them all, and they all get it, and immediately start like sending things back to you. So from sort of like a kind of learning how to communicate and be like fluid in the medium of film, the episodes have been huge for Susan and I to just make these little things that are, you know, just totally personal, like the movie, maybe even more personal because they're so specific. It's not like about, they're not as general. It's just like this thing happened to us, it was really weird, and this other thing happened, it was really weird, whatever. But we're actually interested in stringing the episodes together, 1 through 8, plus some new ones that we're editing into their own kind of like thing that can be watched in a long form thing. Because episodes 1 through 8 are 63 minutes.
Can we expect episode 9 anytime soon? Generally speaking?
We are editing episode 9, but we've been saying that for so long that I just don't want to say it again. But we're in this weird process now where we're actually looking at some footage we never looked at because we like found a whole like thing we forgot about. And it's very tedious to like edit the episode. We've got to transcribe everything that's said so that we can look for really key quotes that we can like put together into something that portrays the experience without obviously putting people through the process of watching all of our raw footage.
The episodes are amazing. It's really, I haven't seen them there. I thought they were just unbelievable.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, really, really good.
The new episodes are different because they're just more documentary. We can sell 1 DVD because that's all. If someone wants to buy this copy, you're welcome to it. But no, the DVD is available that has all this stuff. This DVD we're showing this off of our website. It's $15. It ships to Canada.
It's inspiring. Yeah, it's incredibly inspiring. And it's exciting to see, I think it's just exciting to see the next evolution of art. To me, that's sort of what this is, right? Like it's mixing modern technology with artistic expression and it's getting stuff out there faster than it ever has been out before. And I think that's really cool. And I also think that it's very exciting that like it's almost cutting the big studios out. So as I'm an actress and I work for a big studio and I know how little they like to listen and how little, you know, they have very specific ideas and a lot of it has to do with the bottom line. And as important as that is, especially when you're doing big studio work, it leaves very little room for flexibility and exploration. And it's cool to see that there's a medium that's happening and emerging and coming that is all about artistic exploration, and I just think that that's really exciting. So, good job.
You guys didn't make 100,000. You spent 100,000.
Well, I'll just say that the film has grossed $137,000. That's coming from sponsorships. It's coming from DVD sales. It's coming from download sales. But the print and T-shirts and theatrical, and all this is stuff that we did without a distribution company. So it's stuff that anybody could do using commonly available stuff on the internet. And if people are interested in pursuing that, you should check out theworkbookproject.com, where there's a bunch of resources up there, as well as ArinCrumley.com, where I post all kinds of things that are specifically like tools for filmmakers and other media artists. Thank you guys.